This video goes over questions like, should I quit weed? I don't know. I really like it. It blisses me out. It feels amazing. It's awesome. But at the same time, I just don't feel productive, and that doesn't really feel that great. But yeah, I don't know what I would do without it. I can't get rid of it. It's awesome. I have nothing else. If I got rid of it, I really don't know what I would do. It's saving me. So yeah, it goes over things like that. There's a free checklist on my website that I'll go over as well. And I'll talk about my story because some of it may resonate with you. So let's get started. So since we have limitations in this 3D environment that we occupy, no matter what we take up or pursue, we'll be confronted with a bunch of series of obstacles, basically, right? So life can be thought of as a series of problems that we have to get through, that we have to solve. And sometimes weed can help us solve those problems. It can help us get us through those problems. But sometimes it can hinder us in that process. So it's helpful to evaluate it to see if it's actually being a positive in your life or being something that's taking away in your life. And that's why it's helpful. That's why we have the checklist, because it's helpful to track these things. It's helpful to track your habits, your beliefs, and your thoughts to see, put them down on paper to see if they're actually helping you as you progress through life. Sometimes we go through life, if you experience a trauma and you pick up different things for that purpose to get you through that trauma, like smoking weed might help you get through that. But then once you got through that issue, you got through that trauma, it might be helpful to reevaluate weed to see if it's still something that you need. And that's what happened to me with alcohol. Basically, weed helped me fight a bigger battle with alcohol. I eventually won that battle, or I'm still fighting it. And so now I had to basically reevaluate my life to see if weed was still helping me. And that's what I did. And what I uncovered actually was that I was avoiding something even bigger, and that's responsibility and pain. Basically, these are truths I believe in life: responsibility and pain, and I was avoiding them. And I used to think that responsible people, I used to think that they were just lame, and I was just like, why was everyone taking everything so seriously? But then life eventually put me in this chokehold and was like, listen, you have a choice. You can either submit, you can either be lazy and sad about your progress, or you can choose to be productive and be proud of yourself. So that's kind of where I'm at. And yeah, I used to think life was just all about bliss and happiness and how can I get to happiness. That was all, just what it was about. And then yeah, just life slapped me in the face. Was like, listen, no, actually, the one unchanging rule in life is to change. And so I realized I had to grow. And so yeah, it was a constant struggle for me to battle basically my consciousness. Before, in the beginning, it was a lot easier to smoke weed. My consciousness just let me, smoke weed. It was awesome. It's a blissful experience. I had no problems. And then eventually, over time, slowly, I didn't even realize this happening, but eventually, I would still get blissed out and everything, but my consciousness was just like, listen, you're not being very productive here. I'm not really proud of you. You're not really doing much in this world. You're not really progressing. And it was like this dark feeling that I had, and I didn't really know what it was for a while. So it took me a while to figure that out, and to figure out that weed was holding me back, and that I really needed to try to move forward in life. And so growth, yeah, growth. So that's what I believe that life is about. And growth can be dark. It can be painful. Sometimes it's portrayed as this beautiful thing, but it can be very dark. And a lot of times, in growth, like babies whine and crying through this process. Adults tend to numb themselves to this pain, and takes one to know one right here with that one. So, and these are just echoes from the Tao Te Ching that talks about the path, and the path into light seems dark. And the path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems very long. True power seems weak, and true purity seems tarnished. So I think all of these thoughts in the Tao Te Ching kind of echoes this path that I'm on, because a lot of times I was unsure of myself. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing all this darkness. I thought dark energy was bad. What's happening? And so that kind of, when I read that and I heard that, it really resonated with me, because I just thought becoming more aware was just this, enlightening experience, was all light. But yeah, it can be very dark. So this checklist, let's talk about this checklist. The reason why I put this checklist together was because I was unconscious to a lot of these thoughts, or a lot of these questions on this checklist, and I didn't really, if I had taken the time and wrote them down and looked through them, I think I would have realized that weed was actually a little bit negative for me and wasn't helping me very much. And so what I think sometimes weed is insidious in this way is that it actually, psychologically, it can block signals, I think, from your subconscious to your conscious. And so it's keeping you in the dark about a lot of these different issues that you're just like, nah, I'm fine, no big deal. This isn't a big deal. Okay, yeah, maybe there's something there, but it's not a big deal. So so this checklist talks about those issues, and then you can really think about it and be like, wow, okay, maybe this issue is a little bit bigger than I thought, or maybe it's not, and maybe weed is perfectly fine, and that is true for a lot of people too. So, but it's good to know where you stand. So anyways, this checklist talks about there's these 8 different domains of life that it talks about, which are the emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental. And actually some questions that go along with all of these different domains. And so these questions, let's see, some general questions to all the domains. This first one talks about your ability to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in your life. Does weed help you or hurt you? Answer that now, please. Next question. What are your hopes and dreams, and how does this habit affect them? Okay, so write those down. Or not. It's up to you. Are you able to have fun without it? I know for me, nothing was interesting unless I had weed. So didn't realize that was a problem for a long time. So think about that. Okay, let's start off with emotional. Research says that experiencing a broad range of emotions helps you better navigate the tough terrain of life. What does that mean? So if you have a broad spectrum of emotions that you're processing, that means that you're processing them, whereas I wasn't with weed. I only wanted to process those blissful, happy ones. So if you're not processing all the other ones, that means you're probably not growing. A lot of times emotion can be kind of your compass in life, and if you're not listening to your compass, then you might go the wrong way. All right, so financial. Are you dependent on other people for money? Yes or no? Let's see. And if you're young, that's still fine, but you might want to eventually think about being responsible financially a little bit.
I wanted to add a caveat saying that we all suffer financial hardships, and I'm pulling for you if you are, because I've been there as well.
Social. How does it affect your relationships? Are you able to continue to have a social life with people who aren't smoking? How is your relationship affected? How is your love life affected? Don't want to get into detail with my situation, but I generally used to just eat the whole time, so that left out other activities. Um, does your behavior or actions negatively affect people? Um, oh, so yeah, socially, talking about socially, for me, I know with socially, I was just generally just too messed up to have conversations. Sometimes I was way too overcritical of things. Um, I didn't know if I was saying the right thing, and I would just question that all the time. Maybe in conversation, I would overanalyze one little bit of the conversation, hyper analyze that one little bit, because there's just so many things that you could dive deep. But then the conversation moved on. Listen, we're talking about something else now. I don't know what. So yeah, I wasn't able to keep up in conversations. So that's not a good look. So there's that. All right, spiritual. Spiritual. Are you living a life worth living? Yes or no? How does it affect what you're most proud of? How does this habit affect what you're most proud of? All of these thoughts. Didn't care because my, 20s and early 30s were all about, well, listen, I have this job. Yes, I want to, be successful at it, but when that job is done, all I care about is blissness, and that just I wasn't able to sustain that philosophy for too long. Caught up with me. So, occupational. Are you able to put in enough effort at work? Physical. Does it get in the way of regular exercise? Regular exercise is so important. Intellectual. How is your interest in things affected? I know for me, especially struggling through depression throughout my life, this is just one more thing that was actually hurting me in that regard, because I know with depression you're just not interested in like anything anyways, so if this is not going to help me in that regard, then that's not good. So I wanted to find things that I was genuinely interested in life, and I've noticed that my interest in things has skyrocketed. It's awesome. It's awesome to be interested in things. It's not too awesome to just not care about much. So that's that. And then environmental, I just wrote down, do you have a relatively clean place? Cleanliness is sometimes important, especially if you want to have social gatherings and whatnot. So as you can tell, this video is generally intended for people that are feeling kind of, negative in life, and I've been there for a while, and I know I need to surround myself with growth-minded people, thoughts, ideas, and just keep on with that, because otherwise it's not a fun place. So in terms of that, I think sometimes, I know before, for me, I got, too much caught up on appearances and money. And I thought that money could buy, I used to fantasize about money a lot because of, I don't know, I used to thought that brought happiness. And but according to, eventually I found out that that's not really the case. Like, as I'm sure a lot of you know, but Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, on the bottom of that pyramid is, things like shelter. And so a lot of people are like, I want a really big house, or, a really fancy house. And sometimes that's portrayed in this culture as just such an amazing thing. Like, look at my house, it's so awesome. But at the end of the day, it's still in the very bottom of that pyramid. And I found that's really a waste of time it's okay if you have a nice house and everything like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But to waste all of your energy and time just focused on that, whereas I think higher up on that pyramid of the hierarchy of needs, things like purpose, I think we could all agree that purpose matters a little bit more. So finding that purpose is more important. So trying to focus on that, trying to focus on your purpose, and that's a better focus for me rather than just blissness. So that's this video. I wanted to talk about, and then along with this purpose, I want to talk about just, life grows, it evolves. That's what it does. It doesn't care about your blissness. It cares about growth, and it'll get its way one way or another, and you can either choose to accept it, or I feel like you can be dragged like a dog on a tight leash. And so this choice is yours. You can choose to grow or not and just live in extreme misery. And weed can be blissful, but also miserable. So that's what I think, or not. Maybe not. What do I know? All I know is my experiences. And you'll have to decipher yours. So good luck out there. Take care. Oh yeah, forgot to add, feel free to comment below if you like the checklist or if you have critiques on it. And then also feel free to reach out to me if you struggle with addiction. I'm here to help. So thank you for listening.